What is going on, my Atomic Cycle Works friends? Here we are. If you watch some of our previous videos, we actually did one where we just took the seat apart, and I understand that it wasn't that exciting taking the seat apart, but we went over some basic stuff. Now we're going to move forward, pattern it, sew it, put it together, get it out the door, make a person happy. This here is, like we showed you, all of our seats when they ship, you guys ship them to us. If we dismantle them, they go into a bin that's assigned to them. This bin number is 12. So everything in bin 12 is for this customer, for this motorcycle. Everything stays together. Nothing gets confused. We even save your old covers, even if we're not going to need them. So if you want them, you could take them. If not, we chuck them into the garbage. So here it is. We need these. We don't need any of this stuff. Seat pan would be nice if it stayed with it, because we're going to have to glue that. That's it. Everything's here. Get this out of here. So we're going to go through a basic patterning, which if you watch our videos, you've seen us do quite a few times. It's very similar, and you've heard me say it's not the only way to do it. I just find when you're teaching people and training, it is the easiest way to do it. Seat foam, seat pan, bada boom. I like to glue them together so they don't fall apart. This one fall apart. Customer on this bike does not want this seat modified, foam-wise. He wants it to look cool, but he does not care about adjusting it. He said it's comfortable. He likes the way it is. I'm just going to remove this foam because this top layer of foam, basically on a lot of the older seat covers, it just fills in some voids so your seat doesn't look wrinkly when they're not glued down. But we want this to look more like a higher end seat. This foam is very soft, and to me it's very useless. You pull off the plastic. We don't need this. You don't need this. Plastic. So you always hear me say on our other videos on our car channel and our truck channel that we put plastic on. Sometimes you could move your cover around to adjust it. It helps it move. It makes it a lot easier. Yes, on motorcycles and some watercraft and some recreational vehicles, they'll put plastic on it for water because people think you don't want the foam to get wet. So you put the plastic on it. So now the water seeps through your cover, gets trapped between your cover and the plastic instead of going and hitting the foam. To me, you get a really stinky, soggy, gross seat that usually messes up the vinyl because nothing's made to keep moisture trapped in it. So I personally don't like it. I'd rather the water go through the foam, exit out the bottom, and just be gone. So this foam is a little stuck on here. We're gonna have to make some adjustments afterwards, just clean it up a little bit. But we wanna get it off for now because we're gonna pattern this. And I know for what we're doing, goodbye, right? Now we got to come up with a pattern. I did draw the pattern that we were going to do on the original seat. A lot of times we'll actually draw it and send pictures so people could see what it will look like with pattern on it. But a lot of times when you're working on a seat, it talks to you. So it's hard to tell someone a design when you're doing it, especially if you're modifying the foam. Like a lot of times we shape these seats. This one we're not, but a lot of times we cut them down, lower them, narrow them, all that stuff. When you do that, it actually changes the look of the seat so much. And you can't really tell someone you're gonna do a specific pattern and then change the seat and then look at it, because if it looks bad, it looks bad. So I always tell people, we'll get it all cut down and modified. When it's done, we'll draw up the pattern on it, send it to you. If you're good with that, we'll move forward to the next step. On this one, we don't have to do that. So we know what we're doing. We kind of run over a quick gist. We just chalked out. We're gonna do some modern designs. He does want some diamonds in it. So we're gonna do kind of a swooping pattern. What we're gonna do here is start off by taping off the seat. We're gonna start off with the rider's portion of it. Most of the time we'll take this stuff completely off first before we pattern it, but I know when I grind it, it's not gonna make a difference with my pattern. I just wanna get the pattern done so that when we go downstairs to put the cover on, we could clean up the foam and do it all in one shot and get it done and get it out of here. This style seat used to be very popular. We used to do a lot of these back in the day. It's kind of funny because there's, I don't know, any of you seat guys out there, seat nerds like me that have been doing this for a long time. I remember going through all these different seats, and it's like different phases in your life, different phases in the motorcycle industry. I know it sounds corny, but like, I think personally, like what's funny is there's a seat company out there, LaPera. I used to love doing their seats. They always had I liked how they looked and felt. I liked the designs of them. And I actually think they influenced Harley, because a lot of the times of this era, the seats that started to come out, they started doing more of a kick. And LaPera always had this like sleeker seat with a more of a kick, more of like a drag seat thing to it. and I always kind of appreciated that. Kudos to them. There's a lot of seat companies that have been around for a long time that really influence the industry. So we're going to go through and we're just going to tape this off. And I know there's quicker ways to do it. Sometimes we'll drop the fabric on there, pin it, mark it, and go through it quick. But again, when we're teaching people or training people, this is a very easy way to do it. And we always tell people, as you're putting the tape on, if you put your tape on with no wrinkles, and if it looks like it's going to be a spot where that tape's going to bind up, that's going to be a place where you probably need a seam. So stop and reevaluate your seat cover. And so I'm just going to go through, and we're going to do this. And this seat is supposed to be symmetrical. And if it's not, we're going to make it symmetrical because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Just as I'm doing this, we'll talk. I actually had, some funny stories in the seat business. I am such a seat geek that, like people buy books. I bought a book on Mike Corbin, his life and seat company and all the different stuff. And I used to like hearing it because here in Connecticut, we're in the middle of nowhere. And the biggest seat manufacturers came out of here. And it's it was a cool book for me to read. It was actually really cool because there's certain things. So like in Connecticut by the West Farms Mall, there's a place called Corbin's Corner. And we've talked about it for years, grew up and you always hear it. And then it turns out after I read the book, I guess Mike Corbin was actually friends with the mayor or governor or something like that. So they supposedly named Corbin's Corner after him, which I thought was kind of cool, little tidbit of information. Also, Corbin started in Connecticut, which is cool, as Corbin Gentry. And then Al Simmons, who used to own Mustang Seats, actually worked for them in the beginning. And then he went off on his own and started Mustang Seats. So the two largest seat manufacturers that have been around that are kind of iconic, both started here in Connecticut, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, Al has sold the business years ago, and he had moved half of it up to Falls River in Massachusetts, which was really cool. Brought me on a tour up there, showed me the shop. It was actually kind of funny how we met because I've been doing these seats for a long time. We always do custom. We didn't really get into production, just a little bit. Every time we'd make a seat, do something custom that I thought was cool, I would actually see it knocked off by another seat manufacturer. And it would drive me crazy because you're like going, how is this possible? How are we doing these seats? And then a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, these guys have a production of the same seats that we're doing, right? And so I'm like, I thought I was going absolutely crazy. I tell my buddy about it. And a couple of my friends would talk about it, and they would say, yeah, these big seat manufacturers are watching you little guys and copying you. So I shrugged it off as crazy. And then all of a sudden one day, I get a phone call, and who is it? It's Al Simmons from Mustang Seats. And he wanted to schedule an appointment to talk. I thought it was a joke because for me, it's like kind of like some people like baseball players, football players. Some people like Rick. Some people don't like Rick. Rick is very sneaky because I'm sitting here talking. He walked all the way up the stairs, and I see him over there, scared the shit out of me. Do you need me? I was just hoping.
Like as far as I can.
Yeah, go like as far as you can on the driver's side. We'll just get that side sanded, and then we'll put it in epoxy. Just way it's sealed, so he could drive it. And then when he comes back, we'll do the same thing to the next side.
Picking it up tonight.
I think so. Yeah, I think you just drop it off for the day. So now I'm just marking my center points as we do this. And I'm just going through here. No, I'm just going to leave it all in. So what I was saying about the Mustang seats is Al Simmons had actually called, and I thought it was a joke because, like I said, I'm a seat nerd. So like when someone says, hey, I'm Al Simmons from Mustang Seats, I'm like, okay, sure you are. And he says, I'd like to schedule a meeting with you. And so I said, okay. And he came down to our shop, really good guy. And he wanted to just do some design work for him. But what was funny, it was eye-opening for me because he said, he goes, I wanted to work with you because, we've been stealing your stuff for years. And I thought that was the funniest thing ever. But the way he did it was so gracious. And for me, it was flattering and like relieving because I thought I was going batshit crazy. Every time we would do a seat, they would have a design. So then actually he hooked me up with his, I think it was Vice President, Gary Kendrick, which was a great dude, another good guy. Gary designed. It's kind of funny because you see a big company like Mustang, and Gary, when he was there, designed all the seats. I think he said it was over 100 new products every year. And people don't understand what's involved with designing a simple seat, because you got to design, besides just making it ergonomic and look good, you have to design the foam, you have to make the molds. You got like encapsulated molds, and you have like Seat pans, you have to make a production if you're doing fiberglass, plastic, or steel, and then there's so much tooling involved with it, and then you got to make the brackets, and you got to fit it, and you got to test it. There's a lot, and so for one person, which I think Gary pretty much did that for a lot of years, was very impressive. I got the pleasure of meeting Gary and talking to him a few times, and then I got the pleasure of doing some work for him, so I was kind of excited. We did some seat stuff that they were designing for Roland Sands Designs. We did some cafe racer stuff for them. So it was kind of cool. For me, it was very exciting. But what was funny is all that and all those years of being like, am I losing my mind? Which obviously we know I did lose my mind, but Lewis chimes in, yeah, I did. It was just cool. It was very cool to kind of see that. And it was very gracious how he did it. He was a good dude, real good dude. And I highly always, one thing that's funny is, even though we do seats, they do seats, Settlement does seats, LePera does seats, Corbin does seats, everybody does seats. They're all good companies, all good people. The people that I've met and known, you know, it's what's cool about it is each company has something different to offer, and they actually are so different. Like a Mustang seat compared to a Corbin seat, compared to a Settlement seat, compared to a LePera seat, even though it's a seat, totally different. Look, feel, style, comfort-wise, all that stuff is totally different. Even like the old Danny Gray seats, which I don't really know much about Danny Gray anymore, because I remember he basically he had his own company and he was the guy. And then I remember right when the TV show stuff came out, he kind of like something about he sold out to like one of the big companies and then was gone, which I would love to know about him, because seeing as I love motorcycle seats, it'd be kind of neat to know what happened with his company and all that stuff and where he is today. I don't know what's going on with that. Seems now these days everything's changed with, like, we used to have all the magazines, and even though there was less technology, you were easier to stay on track with things and keep knowing what's going on. Now with all the social media, stuff changes so fast, it's kind of crazy. Anyways, back to the seat, me blabbering. What I'm doing now is just marking the bottom of the seat here, so I know where the bottom edge is, even though we're not gonna really, this isn't like a hard have to be here line. This is just a suggestion of where it's supposed to be, because what happens with seats, you hear me say it a million times, we're patterning off the foam direct, right, with a thin piece of tape. If we're going to put material on here and then add 1/4 inch sew foam, that's going to raise this 1/4 inch, move this forward 1/4 inch, move this forward 1/4 inch. A 1/4 and a 1/4 is a half, plus another 1/4. So it starts adding up exponentially. Same thing on the sides. A 1/4 and a 1/4 is a half, so it's a 1/2 inch bigger. If we do 1/2 inch sew foam on this seat, it's going to move it a 1/2 inch forward and a 1/2 inch forward, which is an inch. So this seat cover that measures here now is actually going to be an inch in. So it changes everything dramatically. So you really got to know what you're doing and what your end game is and what you're going to use. Because if you were to say pattern exactly like I'm doing now, put 1/2 inch sew foam throughout this whole seat, it's going to be a nightmare to go together. It's going to change. So that's another reason why you see me a lot of times going through and marking this as a reference where it is. But when we do the actual cover, we'll pin it on here and it's going to lift it up higher. And then this edge here is going to end up being however much. If we did a 1/2 inch sew foam, it's going to be almost a 1/2 inch higher, 1/4 inch, almost a 1/4 inch higher. So technically with 1/4 inch sew foam, you could go by this. You're just going to pull it tighter. And a lot of times I do, because you want a nice tight fitting seat. If you don't have the seat overheated and over tightened, when you sit on it, it's going to kind of wear. And then if it wears, it's going to look like shit. It's going to look premature. Wear premature, not look premature. So right side, right side, right side, middle, middle. So we're going through, we're doing that. Now we have to figure out our design. And I know based off the design that we chalked out for him, what we kind of want to do, and I honestly wasn't totally feeling it. Wasn't totally feeling it when we were designing it. So we want to do something a little better. The seat here, I might end up just doing separate videos on this too, and just doing the design aspect of it, so the videos aren't too long for you guys before we sew them together and do them, because you could always come back and watch the other ones if you want to. So what we end up doing for the design, we talked about doing triple stitch down the middle and then some cool designs with diamonds in it. And I think that's pretty much what we're going to do. So I'm going to want a triple stitch coming down here. This seat's going to come here. We're going to end up having a seam probably here. And this is going to come around here. Right? Boom. Which doesn't really flow with that. Okay. So anyway, let's figure this out. Triple stitch down the middle. And we're going to want, I'm going to do a butt seam here. I just dig regular butt seams. When you do 1/4 inch sew foam with the regular butt seam and just leave it, I love the look of that for some reason. It looks clean, crisp, and done. On a super high-end seat, we actually will cut the foam, take the salvage and tuck it down into that foam. And sometimes you could actually, if you want to get crazy, you could actually sew a listing on there, and then you could tie it off, pull the strings through and pull them through the bottom, and then suck that butt seam in really tight. Nice tight butt seam. Everybody wants that. And then now we're going to come through here, and this is the one where we're just going to go through and do our diamond stitch. I'm going to do diamond stitch on the sides here, right? And I think we're going to keep it kind of simple because we're doing, the gentleman who owns this, we talked about it. He seems more conservative like I am with the styling of the seats and stuff. So I think we're just going to go and do this a little bit more simpler. And then, because we're doing a really nice burgundy thread we got from Relicate. Okay, let me tape this off now. We're going to tape the back off, and we're going to tape the backrest off. Okay, so one thing I wanted to say while I'm taping this too is for all of those of you who follow us on this channel and our car channel, they know that we had kind of tentatively closed the business down last July. We were overwhelmed with work. It was kind of crazy. It was not a great point in my life because as you get older, sometimes there's a lot of shit that goes on in your life. And we also were inundated with really, really shitty employees. It was just not a good formula for business, not a good formula for stress and anxiety, and not a good formula to make money, but definitely a good formula to lose money. So we've been talking, and we are going to probably reopen soon, very soon. We're talking about it. My boss downstairs there is like, let's do it. So I'm kind of excited about that. And what we're going to end up doing through all of our channels is kind of show you guys us doing that, you know, from designing our new logos. You know, obviously the Atomic Auto Works is our brand, not our business. So we have a actual business that we're going to do. And I don't know how long it's going to take us to reopen, but you'll be able to watch us do that and watch us, like I said, design the logos, get our trailers made. Like we have our trailer that we're doing for shows. We're getting artwork designed for that. Our new websites, all that type of stuff will be kind of cool. And obviously, you know, our social media channels are the Atomic Auto Works, Atomic Cycle Works, Atomic Truck Works, and Atomic Marine Works. So those are always available, and you can always go check our stuff out there. But this is more for the DIY, learn what we do, learn how to do it. So I'm kind of excited. I think it's gonna be a cool, fun thing, and I would love to be able to get back in the good graces of our business. Last year was really rough between all the stuff went down, health issues, all that crap. Not a big fan of the medical industry anymore, I'll tell you that. Really not a big fan of them. So now we are alive and happy, and we got our good little team here of people that I trust, that care, which is very hard to find. Okay, so I just jumped ahead and patterned everything the way I wanted to. Change a few things on it, but you could see, well, you can't see. I could see. I could see clearly now, but you can't see. Okay. What we have here is some seats, right? So what I end up doing is we're going to have a triple stitch going down the middle. It's simple, clean. I like how it looks. This burgundy thread is banging. I mean, it should look really good against the black. It's a little darker than we normally do, but it's a really cool color. We're going to transfer that to here. This is going to be a smooth white piece of vinyl. This will be a smooth piece of vinyl here as well. And then this piece here goes off the top. So what I did is I just made our triple stitch is going to be down the middle. I measured 1.5 inches in. This one comes straight back now, which goes into this one, which is 1.5 inches in from the center, which goes straight up and then curves out. And then we'll put the diamonds on the side. Right? Right. One thing I forgot to ask my new boss is if we're going to be able to continue our videos. Hey, new boss, am I going to be able to still do YouTube videos if we start the company back up? Can I? Are you going to allow me to? Okay, so I guess we'll just continue doing our videos. So anyways, here we go. We have this. I'm going to label all these pieces now. So we want to do backrest, backrest, backrest on all the pieces. And we're going to do, this is the left side, left, 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 top, 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 bottom, bottom, bottom. Do some, well, we don't need that there. Maybe do some here. So we have some marks to line everything up. Bada boom, same thing here. I'm going to transfer some lines here. What I'm doing is I'm just putting some quick marks on here so I know where to sew these pieces together, because once we cut this out, we have to know if this one goes to this one, where it goes. That's the middle. I don't need anything there. I'll put a couple lines here, transfer that one across. We have our center, and this is, I said left, but this is right. See that? I had it backwards on in my mind. So right, right, and right. This is the right side of the seat. Right, 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 right. And I did this here. This is kind of like my little signature thing here. I always like to put a stitch here. I don't know, it breaks up this fatness and it makes the seats to me not look as big and puffy and crappy. Front, and then we'll do the same thing here. I already put some marks on here, but we're gonna do 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Transfer that one through, center's there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, right? Front, front, right, right, right. It's all the right side of the seat. This is the right side of the seat, right side of the seat. Can't see if I already labeled that. And back. Bada boom. So now, just like that, we're gonna slice and dice, right? So I want to, you don't want to cut into the foam. We just want to cut just our tape. So we're going about a 16th in, maybe 1/8. Bada boom, straight across. I'm gonna cut here. And then once we do that, if we cut through good, we can just peel our pieces off, which that didn't go too well, but we'll try. We're gonna peel this one off. So sometimes, a lot of times you have to come through and recut it because you'd rather double cut than cut deep into the foam. And we'll peel this off. That's stuck right there, which that came off all right, but this did not. So I'm just gonna take this little piece off because we don't need it. And get this out of here. So now with the centerpiece here, I'm gonna lay this down flat and I'm gonna actually cut the center right out because we have to use this to make a mirror image. So now, boom, center's gone. And we have this piece cut out, ready to pattern, right? So I like to kind of keep them roughly where they go as we cut them out. And like I said, on the bottom one here, I left it long, but I marked roughly where the bottom is. I'm gonna cut the middle because I don't want the middle on there. I'll keep that where it goes. So you can see there's problems with, using the tape. But when you're teaching someone how to do this, it's so much easier than putting clear plastic on it. And, sometimes I like the plastic and the vinyl when you're making patterns because it only moves in the direction that it, if you can't fold it, you need a seam there. So it's kind of good at that aspect of it. But as far as this stuff here, I like this. It's easy peasy. And I'm going to lay this down and just cut this one right across here. Bada boom. Don't want to do that. So now I can leave that there, that there. So we have all the pieces cut out, ready to pattern. I'm going to do that to these and I'll be right back. So all the pieces are cut out. Nothing pretty here, right? So now all we got to do is pattern them. So I'm going to pattern all the pieces, missed one here, except for the diamond ones, because with the diamonds, we're going to transfer the diamonds onto the sew foam. And even though we're using 1/4" sew foam and it doesn't shrink as much, whenever you have a big area and you put a lot of diamonds in it, it's going to shrink. So I rather do the vinyl, patterns on it, get it to the right size, put our diamonds on it, trim it to make sure they're exactly right to the pattern. So for now, we're just going to go through and do all the other pieces. So I know this one is just going to be straight vinyl. I almost messed up already, talking too much. So we want to make sure I have enough material here, because what we're going to do is we have to flip this in half and make a mirror image of it. So you can see this one actually was a little curved, and even doing the tape, it didn't lay down exactly like I wanted it. Luckily, the vinyl stretches, which isn't really a good thing to do, is rely on the vinyl to stretch to fill your thing. So what I'm going to do is, I know that this is supposed to be straight. I'm going to put my straight edge here, make sure that this is perfectly straight, right? And then we'll deal with this over here. So I'm going to transfer this center. This is where it's supposed to stop. Normally we just add 3/8 of an inch for our salvage. I'm going to run that right off and have extra here, and I'm going to put a big X there. So now for this center, that's going to be where our triple stitch is, and we want our 3/8 of an inch all the way around this. And you can see here, the material wants to pucker because it's not a nice transition. There's a lot going on this seat. So I'm gonna have to lay it as flat as I can with this tape. And we're gonna follow our 3/8 from the edge where we cut 3/8 out. That's our seam allowance, our salvage. And come right down. I'm gonna put our alignment marks in there. Here's some here. Here's some here. Here's some here. We'll put front, back. So you'll see the proper way, the proper way to pattern would be to write everything on the back side of the pattern so you don't see it and you don't have any question that the materials whatever you're writing on is going to stay there and ruin the actual piece. The problem I have is I learned everything the wrong way, and with us, if I mark the backside of this material, then when we laminate it with sew foam, we're gonna have to mark the back of the sew foam too because it covers that. So I just got in a really bad habit of writing on the front of the seat. I always test it. This material, this vinyl, we use all the time, so I know it comes off, but I always test it. And even doing that, you should be smart and you should put all your marks on the side, like right in your salvage, back in your salvage. So this way, when you stitch it, it's on the other side of it. And you don't have to worry about it going onto your seat, on the outside of the seat. So what I'm gonna do here is peel this off, put this right back where it goes, bada bing, right? Bada bing, bada boom. Bet you didn't know I was Italian. And then boom. Okay, so we have that here, right? So we already do our seam allowance. So you gotta pay attention because if you trace your pattern exactly and don't do your 3/8 seam allowance and then cut it, it's going to be way too small. Not only is it going to be a little small, it's going to be a lot small because 3/8 and 3/8 is 3/4. And if you do that twice, that's 1.5 inches. So your pattern is going to be 1.5 inches too small if you mess up. So I'm going to just cut this right here. And yes, it's time for some new scissors because these ones are getting dull. What's funny with our scissors is I find we get a lot of questions on scissors. So the Kai scissors, Kai, whatever they're called, I love. They are amazing. They cut very well. They're made in Japan. I like Japanese shit too. And even though I'm 100%, American made, American proud, they make a really good product. And I firmly believe that, you support your country, but if someone does it better, we got to get our shit together to be better. These guys are better. We used to send our shears out to have them sharpened. And what I notice is with other scissors, like the Whisk scissors, which are great, they're all great, products. But with the other ones, I noticed that when they got sharpened, they would come back and they'd be sharper. What I noticed about the Kai is when you get them new, they're so good. I can't find anybody that actually sharpens them as good as they come when they're new, which is crazy. And I also just lost I finally get this is what happens. You finally get it exactly where you want it, and then you lose your space pen. Am I losing my mind? Ah, there it is, rolled away. You probably could see that. I couldn't see that. So now I'm just I put the straight edge on here. Marked my center points. I folded it in half and folded it right on the center, and I'm using this straight edge to hold this down so it doesn't move. When you're folding stuff over and it's a longer piece and it's narrower, it's very easy for this to be too far over in one or the other direction. So you want to really make sure it doesn't move. Some people use different weights and all that stuff, which is great. This is just how I do it. I'm sure it's the wrong way, and I'm sure everybody's going to tell me it's the wrong way. But to you guys, foutoir. Okay, so let's do this. Now we're cutting this here. So you can see, when you hear me talk about mirror images and flipping patterns and all that stuff, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So you could take this pattern, put this here, make your mark, flip it over, use the same pattern, do it there, add the 3/8, do that, bada boom, bada bing. Right? It works, whatever turns you on, you do. Me, I like to fold it in half. There are problems. You can see when I just folded it in half, there's a whoop-de-doop there. So you got to pay attention to what you're doing. I'm going to cut that whoop-de-doop out because we don't want that. Bada boom. Now it's perfect, right? So now this one goes here. We're going to move to this one here, right? And I'll show you how to do this one. I kind of wasted a little bit of material here, which is not so good. But look at that. Bada boom. It works. Okay, so this here, front, back, right, left. Same thing. We got 3/8 of an inch. And this pattern here, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. This pattern here needs a seam allowance on all 4 sides, right? So I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch all the way around. And I know you're saying, why isn't he measuring his 3/8 of an inch, right? I hear you. I hear you saying that. And then we're going to say, okay. 1, 2, just under 3, right? Well, it's actually pretty sticking close. So 1, 2, 3/8 is right there. I'm less than a 64th off guessing. So to you, we're doing good here. Good guessing. I'm going to go around. And so one of the factors is obviously if you're doing a $2,000 motorcycle seat, not that you don't want everything perfect, but you have to work, you can work a little slower because you're getting paid for your time. If you're doing a $500 motorcycle seat, you got to work a little bit quicker to get them done so you can stay in business. So I've done thousands of motorcycle seats, so I kind of get a good gist for what our seam allowance is. I do periodically check on each one to make sure that I'm not way off kilter like you just saw me do. So now here we go. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. So what I'm going to do is just cut this out. And one of the reasons, you know, when I'm doing it, if I'm a 64th of an inch off on this pattern, basically we're putting 1/4 inch sew foam behind here. I'm going to make sure that this piece is exactly the same as the mirror image. So if there was any play in it, that 1/4 inch sew foam is more than enough to let you adjust a 64th of an inch. So I don't know. I got some guy one time yelled at me about it, saying I don't like to guess what I'm doing seats. And guess what he's doing now? He ain't doing upholstery, I'll tell you that. Everybody's a hero. Okay, so here we go. I'm just taking the little notchers, notching it. So now we want a mirror image. What's a mirror image, you ask me? And I'm going to tell you because I want to sound like we're at the circus here. Mirror images, bada boom. Just flip it over, and now you can trace it. You'll hear me say you want to use the best yield you can. So you try to square up your pattern so you're not wasting material, because material is expensive, and we don't like to waste. So now we could just go through and just trace this one. We're going to mark all of our little marks. So we just cut them out. We notched them all out. And now the left and right side is exactamundo. So when we talk about like patterning with chalk, this is a good example to show you. So as we're doing this, well, actually, hold on. I'm going to show you the differences in patterning with chalk and why when I say a 64th of an inch isn't a big deal on this, right? Chalk, here we go. Chalk, chalk, chalk. So if I was like a child and I grab my chalk like this and you tried to mark this with the chalk, right? I'll just do this one spot here. Boom, right? Look at that. You got the space pen is roughly a 16th of an inch. That chalk is roughly a 1/4 of an inch. So then you say, we're smart, so we're just gonna sharpen this chalk up, right? Which is a pain because you gotta do this all the time. And you do have to be careful because when you sharpen chalk, it could get so sharp that you cut the material. So now we're gonna come and say, okay, we're gonna go through and do this. Now, the first part of it is a 16th of an inch, but then by the time you get to the end, it's already an 1/8 of an inch. So that's a lot of variance in your patterning. So I love the space pens. When we can't use them, we keep our chalk sharp. So I'm going to do front, back, and this is now the left piece because we did the right piece. Now we're doing the left. It's a mirror image. And I'm going to take this piece, bada boom. I'm going to take it off because when we go to laminate it, we want to make sure it's off. And we're going to stick this here like it goes. We're going to stick this one here like it goes. And then we're going to cut this one here. Now, I know a lot of you guys watch our videos for the how-tos, and I appreciate that. And I know some of you are like, they want us to shut up, do a how-to, and get out. And we can sometimes keep it a little too personable. We try to be personable. Some people don't like that. I personally hate it. Like when I'm looking for a how-to video, I'm like, just show me what to do, leave me alone, and shut the hell up. I find some people I like, and then I follow their channels, and I go back and watch more of their videos because you can relate to them. Okay, so now this is going to be the back piece. and we want to mirror image this one as well. So what we want to do is same thing. We're going to try to get the best yield of material that we can. And I'm looking at this piece of material. I don't want to waste it. There's one other thing that we haven't talked about in this video. We talk about all the time, and that is the stretch of the material. And honestly, on this one, I really don't give a shit about the stretch. I don't need to really worry about it. I know how it's going to stretch. I know if you do your pattern right on these, you're going to pull it right. It's going to be good. So it's like, you know, and there's so many things going on. Knowing the stretch of it is kind of a waste. So I'm just moving this material around, looking for the best place that I could make this piece. These ones here waste a lot of material. So sometimes on a less expensive seat, I'll actually seam it in the middle, because I could literally take this pattern, do one here, and you're done. Now, if you watch when we do this one's not going to be that easy. So what we're going to do is I want to make sure that when we fold it, it folds in the right direction, and we have enough material to do it without wasting it. I'm going to waste a little bit on this one. So I'm going to do a center, center, and then we're going to do our 3/8 all the way down, and I'm going to leave this one long, because even though that's our center line, and I know that's where we're going to want our material cut, I want to have extra read all about it, because when we put the sew foam on there, it's going to lift the seat up, it's going to change the shape, and the last thing you want to do is have it short, because if it's short, you got to do all this crap all over again. And the good thing is, when you do it all over, it always comes out better the second time. You ever notice that? Any problems you have when you do it the second time, they're all gone. All right, so here we go. We got this piece here. Now we're going to show you the little, I'm going to cut that right there. We got the middle there. Put my alignment marks in there like we did. This is the right side. This is the middle. I'm going to peel this off. Put this back. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Okay, now we're going to trim it. Right there, right to there. Cut this off because we don't need this. We're just going to say, get out of here. And then we're going to take this, notch the center, right? Notch it, center, center. Fold it in half. Here we go. For those of you who are watching this video for the first time, if you've made it this far, thank you. You're an amazing person. And for me, I have literally done this same exact routine thousands of times. And it's funny because a lot of our viewers come to this channel and they're new. So you're supposed to be very informative. And I always feel bad for our returning visitors because it's probably like, I've heard it a million times. And if you think you've heard it a million times, I've heard it a million times. Flip it over, fold it, trim it, cut 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 it. Bada boom. Get out of here. And this one here. Bada boom, right? Okay, we got our center marked. I have the 3 here. I have the 2 here. I could transfer it over, but I really don't give a shit. I don't need to do it. Don't tell me I need to do it. Don't you tell me I need to do it. And the back piece. Here we are. Back piece. Same. We got it in half. We're going to fold it over. We want to make sure that when we flip it, we have material. This is where sometimes you waste material. Because if you do it too short, you waste a lot of material. If you do it too long, you waste a little material. So you could say, okay, roughly, that's going to be about there. This is going to be about there. Is this going to work? I can be it closer here. But I don't want to waste that much material. So let's move it over here a little bit. So if I do this here, and then I could go, I'm going to put my center line here. Bada boom, bada boom. Now I can just transfer this here. Will that make it? Ooh, that was a close call there, buddy. So now we're going to go, okay, let's do it here. Right? Now I got extra lines that are going to confuse me. And then I go, okay, is this going to work here? Bada boom. Man, that's too close. So see why I say, let's just do it up here, right? At a slight angle, waste a little material. We're going to do our center line here. I'm going to do the full center line because now that I showed you guys how to mess up, I don't want to mess myself up even more. Done that before. Put the wrong lines in, then you have to trim them out. You cut the wrong lines, and you're back to basics. Let's cut this off, right? Boom, boom. There's a center, there's a center. And mark our little notch, our center here. Right there. Mark our center here. fold it in half, so on, so forth. And let's see if we messed up or not. So even at all that, we got an inch that we wasted, 3/4 of an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, whatever, we wasted it. It's better to waste that than to waste the whole thing and have to redo this whole piece, because nobody has time for that in this fast-paced world. Who has time for that? Oh, and if I didn't mention this video, any of the tools that we're using in products, we try to put links in our description of our videos so you could go get the same thing we get. They might not be from the same suppliers because our suppliers are primarily wholesale, but it's a place you could buy them and support our channel. Unfortunately, you're probably going to be supporting China because that's where everything seems to be made, which is another topic of discussion today, which is really pissing me off. I just had a customer come in, dropped off a seat, and then picked it up because he saw a cheap Chinese seat online. I am so sick of Americans, especially Harley, riding Americans, Trump supporting Americans, buying their shit in China and Mexico. Like, I don't even get it. I don't even get it. Support your stinking country, please. You know, people are just hell-bent on buying cheap, 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 and I don't get it. And there's a reason for cheap. There's a reason for cheap. Trust me, one of these videos I want to be honest and show you some of these seats that we get. I mean, sometimes I tell you, for the bang for the buck, they're worth it. But you're talking about like your prized possession, your motorcycle, and you're going to cut corners to buy something cheap. And when I see it, and I see someone riding their bike and they're riding one of these knockoff seats that's stolen from another company's, like, so we design it and work hard and create it. We go to bike shows and we love this shit. And then we design it, and then some dude or dudette in a foreign country comes and knocks our shit off and then gets slave labor and has their little kids working in fields and torturing people to make your seat. And you're like, well, if I could save a couple $100, I don't care if I have little children making my seat. It kind of pisses me off a little bit, if you can't tell. Oop, almost forgot. I have to add 3/4 of an inch here. Bada boom. Caught that one before it happened. See that? You get me all mad talking about your Chinese and Taiwanese seats and all this other shit. I would say Indian seats, but I really like Indian people. Not that I don't like Chinese people. I like everybody. But when it comes to American-made products on your American-made bike, come on, man. Come on, man. Now I sound like Biden. Top, right, bottom, plus 3/4. We added that in. So I'm going to make our center line here. Oh, is that too political? I'm not supposed to talk about politics or religion on our channel because we're all about motorcycle seats here. Right, boss? Can't talk about politics or religion, right? I can't even, I said, come on, man. And you know who that sounds like. Now I feel like I should wash my mouth out with soap. Come on, man. Come on, man. You expect me to do better? I'm just the president of the United States. Give me a break, man. Just a leader of the free world. So I'm doing the back of this seat right now, the back panel of the backrest. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this all up and bring you right back so you don't have to be bored with my horrible sense of humor. What cracks me up is for you, it's just like that. We're at the next scene. For me, there's a lot of pieces that were cut out. So here we are. We have all the smooth pieces cut out, ready to go. Now we need to do our diamond pieces. Because I told you previously, when you back and laminate the vinyl with the sew foam, it shrinks. 1/4 inch foam, 1/8 inch foam doesn't shrink that much, but 1/2 inch does. We are actually only doing 1/4 inch foam, so it's really not going to shrink, but just in case, it's better always to be safe than sorry. We're going to do that. So I have my pieces here, and we're only doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces in diamonds, and there's not a lot. It's a lot of work for a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of extra, and the problem is you want it to be symmetrical on both sides. I personally like it to be symmetrical on both sides. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, is I just want to label front, back, back, front, and then top and bottom. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Right, 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 right. Front seat, rear seat, backrest. Perfect. So what we're going to do here is I'll show you on one, then I'll do the other by myself in secret. I'm going to use this. We're going to cheat. So we did a video last year, and leatherseats.com. We're not sponsored by them. We didn't pay for these. You know, they did give them to us, but they gave them to us for another video that we did. And I love these things. I truly love them. They're a great company. They always have cool stuff coming out, and this saves you so much time when you do it by hand like we do versus the CNC machines. They have these holes, so you can really literally line up the holes on your center line wherever you want it, transfer it, and it's easy peasy, quick and sleazy. So I'm just lining these up, and now all we gotta do is just mark it. And it's, I mean, obviously it takes a minute. It's not like Rome wasn't built in a day, or maybe it was. They just tell us that to make us all lazy. So you have to go through, make all your marks, hope that your space pen's working. I could see it, it's actually working. It gets confusing because you're like, which one did I do? Which one did I not do? There's so many lines, I'm so confused. How do you do this? And I'm gonna go through and do that to all of these. And then BYB, son of a B. So you don't have to watch me do this. Once again, just like that, you're here and I just finished. So what we did is went through and I put the diamonds on it. What I find with these patterns, they're very easy to get crazy on. But if you just pick one line and do it and go through it and then come back and do it, it's a lot easier to stay consistent and make sure you don't miss anything. So now what we want to do is we want to make these pieces, but we want them to be identical on both sides. So how do we do that? Let's see. It doesn't matter how you do this. You could put this pattern down, trace it, cut it out, flip it over, try to line everything up and all that. I'm gonna probably just do a cheat, and we're gonna make our pattern, and we're actually gonna do this one with chalk. So we did everything with a space pen, right? And we're gonna show you how we're gonna cheat here. Take our chalk, sharpen it up. So sometimes you do this and it works, sometimes you do this, it doesn't work. So we're gonna try it and see if it works or if it doesn't work. So I'm just gonna measure my 3/8 of an inch out, bada ding doo dong, put my lines in here, leave this long, longa ducka dong. So now, let's trim some of this tape off of it. Sometimes I'm working, I forget the camera's rolling, and I just do me. So actually, I'm gonna do this. I want a bigger V for the center point than my little notches, because I want this center to be exactamundo, if you know what I mean. Although, technically I screwed up. I want to do the 1/4 inch sew foam first and then fold it because this is going to shrink. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to sew everything up and then we'll do this. Now what we're going to do, scratch that idea. That one's out. We kind of wing it here. We just kind of go on the fly. Let's do this. Let's grab some 1/4 inch sew foam, which just happens to be right here. We cut our material out. We're going to cut our sew foam roughly, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch bigger. This way we have safe than sorry. We're gonna do our little guy here. Let's get these little guys done. Little guys, little girls, little guys, little gals, little guys, little gals, la 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 la. Okay, bada boom, bada bang, sew foam fell. Now for the biggins, them some biggins right here. Okay. For this one, I'm gonna actually run and laminate, break my chalk. I'm gonna laminate the sew foam to the material. I will BYB. If you want to see this, watch another one of our videos. We do it all the time. I don't feel like carrying the camera downstairs, setting everything up just for 2 seconds. I just wanted you to see, I laminated the sew foam to the diamonds material, okay? But I wanted you to see how many pieces, just for these little seats, there actually are that I have to go through and laminate the sew foam to every single piece of these things. Thank me for not filming this, because you'd have a lot of fast forwarding to do because it's very boring and mundane, but it has to be done. I'm gonna jump ahead, do this, be right back. All right, so we're now just about at the home stretch. We're gonna sew on our burgundy triple stitches, and then we're gonna sew on our diamonds. Pattern these last couple pieces, and this is one of the best parts of a seat. When all the pieces start coming together, it goes from one seat cover to 1,000,000 patterns, back to one seat cover, and that's kind of a very rewarding, satisfying thing. Almost as good as when you put it together for the final time. So I just gotta put the thread in here. We're switching over to this really nice burgundy thread, and then we're gonna stitch it up. All right, so I just wound 2 bobbins. The third one is gonna wind as we sew. And we got the burgundy. The burgundy material, burgundy thread, I wanted the thicker thread, but for outdoor, you can't get it any thicker than this, evidently. And for a motorcycle seat that someone's gonna ride, I have to make sure that it's gonna last. We've done a few with some of the non-outdoor threads, and they look wicked. They're great for show bikes, but if they're gonna get a lot of sunlight, they really don't hold up for that long. So unless you're planning on redoing your seat, and we can't warranty stuff that we know is going to fail, then you know, you're better off going with the outdoor thread if you get a lot of sunlight. So I'm just going to go through and I'll show you what it looks like. We're doing a triple stitch. So now when you do a triple stitch or any stitch, you could go through here and mark it and then run the needle right on that. What I end up doing is I actually just take the edge of the walking foot in the center and just run it right down and kind of follow it, so that I don't need to measure it every single one, because when you do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things, it gets very time consuming doing a lot of extra steps. So we're just gonna follow this down. I'll show you what it looks like and lock it off. So this is a very conservative seat, as I said. You might not even be able to see it here until we put some light on it, but you can see we have the burgundy thread, which is just enough. I like it because the bike's a black cherry, so you don't really want red. You want the sunlight to hit it and see that there's something in there, know that there's something in there without it being in your face. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to sew these. We'll start off with one of the diamond pieces here. Here's one of the diamond pieces. And the reason why I wound a lot of bobbins is because diamonds and designs go through a lot of bobbins. So we're just going to go through and start sewing these. We're only doing single stitch diamonds. We're not going to do double or triples. We could do them. We do them a lot, but they add a lot of extra time, and we have to charge more money for them because you're actually doubling and tripling your work. So I'll show you this. We have our triple stitches done. So this is the front seat, right? Back seat is this one, backrest, and the back seat is that one. Those are there. The only thing we have to do now before we actually start sewing everything together is finish these here. So I think what we're gonna do is, this is for the little one. We'll do the little one first. If we make a mistake, we just have a little repair to fix. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is place this here, grab our chalk, sharpen our chalk. We're gonna mark our 3/8 of an inch all the way around, which is going right up to that center line. I'll put a line there so we know where those two connect. This is all so that when you look at both sides of the bike, the diamonds look the same. Not everybody does it. Some people don't care. They just throw diamonds in there, and whatever the pattern is the pattern. I care, darn it, I care. 1, 2, 3. We'll put our lines in there. 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the hard part we have now is if we fold this in half, we're gonna put a crease in the middle. So I'm going to cut this in the middle, right? And the reason I put this little mark in here, the center line, is because we are going to snippety snip snip, put our center line there, our center line here. It's also why I had marked top and bottom. So now we put our center lines together, right? If we line everything up, and this takes a second, you got to make sure that your center lines line up, but you also want to make sure that all of your diamonds are lined up, right? Right. And it looks pretty good. So now we're just going to go this, right? Just like this. I'm going to pet it. It's such a good puppy. Okay, boom. Now we have it transferred to here. We could actually just go through and chalk this out here, just like so. And then we're going to go right up to here. And this is a little off, so what I want to do is just make sure. I'm going to put it back to back. We can measure it. We know that at these 3 lines here, at the 3 lines here, we're about 1 1/8 in. And so we're actually, let me do this. This will make it life easier. Okay, these are garbage. Get out of here. Okay, boom, 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 right? So what I want to do is make sure from the center line that this is in the right place, because we don't want to guess, not at this point. So I'm going to put this on the center line, and I am going to measure. This one is 1, 2, 9/16. So 1, 2, and 9/16. Then we're going to move up here, right? This is all just double checking. 1, 2 3/4. 1, 2 3/4. Move it a little bit. Then we're going to go down here. 1, 2 1/4. 1, 2 1/4. So we just want to make sure that our lines intersect properly, which they kind of wouldn't have. I kind of messed up there because I put that line over there, which now I question myself. So I'm going to double check. We're going to double check. So right here is 1, 2 1/4. Right, 1, 2 1/4. 1, 2 1.25, which is over here. That doesn't look right. So let's go up here. 1, 2, 5/16. 1, 2, 5/16. So this actually came down here like that. Let's get that one out of here, right? So we know this is what? Boom, boom, boom. We got boom, boom, boom. And then we have doom, doom, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and sew around our chalk and then trim these so that they're exact. And then we could actually, I might even just show you. Let's see. So this is for the back seat, which is here. We got a lot of pieces here. Back seat here. So the sides of the back seat are what these are going to get sewn onto. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Tripping. Sides of the back seats are what those get sewn on. So we got center here, bada boom. Then we have the front piece up here, bada boom, boom, boom. This is the front over here. Side, on the side there. That's around the side here. And then these two here are the ones that go there. So we got 3, 3, and 2. And then we have, so this is the right side, this is the right side. 3, 3, and 2 would be here. So we want to make sure that those line up. All right, so a lot of times you'll see me jump back and forth on these things, because what I feel is if there's any question in your mind that something might be confusing or not, I like to take out that reasonable doubt, just start sewing the pieces together so we know that everything's the same. I just reduced the size of my thread. A lot of times I'll actually sew this with a different color thread because sometimes it gets confusing, and I'll show you. But the hard part is you want to make sure that you put your size back to normal before you move forward. So now I'm just going to take this out. Bobbin thread is almost out. I can hear it loose. Now we're going to take this here, cutting right on the edge of our fine thread, the thread that we just did with a really small threads per inch. Get out of here. Now we're going to do this here, goes to the right side, which is this one here. So what I'm doing is I have our marks that we put in there, 3, 3, and 3. Boom, boom, boom. I want to sew this together. Problem that we have is I should set up the other machine. I'm going to probably do that, but for now, I'm going to show you what happens. If you're working with one machine, which some people are, you would actually have to change your thread back and forth and back and forth. And the reason for this is we are going to do our butt seam right now, and our butt seam, if we don't want red thread in our butt seam, because what will end up happening is when you go to pull the seat tight, you're going to see red stitches through there. I like to just put black for my butt seam on black vinyl or whatever matching color you're doing. And then some people at this step will actually reduce the size of their thread as well. So instead of having it, set to a 7, they bring it to a 4, which my machines are actually backwards. It doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be the more threads per inch, the smaller it is. So I'm just going to sew this with black thread bottom and top. So I'm going to sew this, boom, 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 trim this, trim this. When you're sewing, you could actually hear your machines when the bobbin thread is getting low. It gets real tinny, and this one is getting low, and I don't want to have it run out when you're in the middle, which it just did. But I'm also confused because this does not look right. Maybe it's supposed to be like that. Okay, so that's a butt seam. Sometimes I'll do a top stitch on here. I'm really not feeling it, but we'll check. I'm gonna stitch this one to this one, right? We're gonna change our bobbin thread. Bada boom. Put our new bobbin thread in. And since I'm actually sewing with the black thread, and I don't feel like changing to burgundy, we're just gonna not wind and sew wind our bobbin while we sew. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. And I am going to have to resew this end because I ran out of bobbin thread right at the end. Of course, like I told you, I could hear it, but I didn't play it quite right. Should have pulled it out. What I'm going to do is quickly grab the other material. I'm going to put the center on here, and I'm going to see if 2 butt seams don't look good or if we need to top stitch it. So hold on. All right, so I had to kind of jump ahead and sew some things together without you. Sorry. My conflict was, I know we don't want to go too crazy. I was thinking about doing a red top stitch here or a red top stitch here, which I know would look good, but I think it might be too much. I'm kind of digging the butt seams here, and then we're going to have a red stitch going around the outside. Sometimes it's not even just about being too much like in your face. It's just about too much stitching sometimes gets blurred out to me and it doesn't look like a design. It just looks like a lot of stitching. So I want to try to keep it a little simpler. So what I'm going to do is we're going to sew these two together, which actually I'm going to sew the backs of these together first. And then we're going to put the top stitch on it to try to save me from having to change the thread back and forth from burgundy to black a million times. And I am seaming this one in the back. It saves us a lot of material. On this bike, you can't see the back because there's a tour pack behind it. And not that it would look bad. Some people actually prefer French seam over no seam or a top stitch or something like that. Some people like that because it looks a little more finished. So it's not like it's right or wrong. It just happens to help us save a lot of material. And I don't know, it's extra step because we got to put a French seam in it. But it is what it is. So let's get this here. I just sewed that together. I'm going to put a little fake French seam. It's a fakie. Doesn't really, there's not a lot of support or anything here that needs extra strength. All we really need is just to look good. I think my bobbin just spun and made a mess. Oh man. You can hear that. I don't know if it's out. Doesn't look like it's out. Technical difficulties here. I'm going to have to wind the bobbin as we go because we are definitely going to need more bobbin thread on here. Make sure that this is tight because it just wasn't before. I know this is a long video and we're showing you more than you probably need or want to see, but this is reality. We can make videos that strictly entertain you to waste your time, or the people who like this and want to do this might want to see some of the real true everyday stuff. You know, there's like a lot of hidden stuff. Like a lot of videos I watch with Upholstery, they never show you when they mess up, and everyone messes up. And we do. You know, it's just kind of reality for me. So the video is a little longer. Hopefully you like it. Anybody who actually has made it through here, comment on this video, and if we see it and you say, hey, I watched the entire video, we will see if we could try to get something together, maybe a package where we give out some free stuff. I think that might be kind of cool. Free upholstery stuff. If you're not doing upholstery and you just watch our channel, maybe we'll send you some merch. And I'm actually winding the bobbin and sewing at the same time. So my hand to the right is actually holding the thread out so that it winds and spools up. Once it gets to a certain point on that bobbin, it will actually cut the thread off and then not think about it. But right now I'm thinking about it. So here you go. I'm gonna cut this now, and you can see here we just did a French seam and it looks nice. I mean, it's like there's no right or wrong. I mean, yeah, it saved us material, but it took us a little more time. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? Okay, so now we're gonna sew this to this. Or does that go to that first? Does this go to this? Oh, shoot, I dropped it. Does this go to this first? Bada boom. Okay, so I'm going to sew this to this first. So we're going to have to swap back to black. I'm going back in black. And, nope, my bobbin thread's not wound all the way. Oh, what are we going to do? All right, here we go. Let's just wind the bobbin thread. Not do that. That was dumb. Okay. Fix this little problem. A lot of the things people don't want you to see is like winding bobbins, or when you do something stupid like I just did where you are winding it and the bottom thread got hit by the needle and popped out. So then you have to stop what you're doing, come back and do this. But again, reality, my friends, reality. That's wound, that's off. We want to switch this from red to black. Black thread, red thread. You'll see me do this a lot. We just tie it off. This way we don't have to thread the whole machine. Just the end needle sometimes, because with a thick thread, it doesn't want to go through the needle. So doubled up. So I literally am just gonna spool the end here. These are things you deal with every day when sewing. Sometimes you'll go months with not a problem, weeks, days, hours, and sometimes things happen. It's usually when you're stressed out or you're cut thin that you have issues like this. So I'll pull my bobbin thread up from the bottom to the top here, which it didn't do that. What's going on here? That means it has a knot. That means this top thing has a fucking knot. So how do we fix this? Oh, actually, it just fixed itself. I was able to yank that out. So one of the things that you have to be careful, and it's a pain in the tail, is with these machines, they're heavy-duty machines. If it tries to pull the thread up and bind into it, it'll go around the bobbin casing. And once it does that, you are pretty much toast. You have to, actually, I don't know. I see there's like an extra. There is an extra. So it did do that. Okay, see, there was actually a piece of thread around there. So if the piece of thread, extra piece of thread gets stuck around the top of the bobbin case, it's going to mess it up. You're not going to be able to sew. Sometimes it actually gets caught and goes down in underneath this bobbin. And then you have to pull these tiny, tiny little screws out, which is a pain in the ass. Literally a pain in the ass. Okay, so we should be good now. Let me get this centered here, 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 here. And we're just going to sew this. And I'm going to probably on this one just do a black top stitch. I don't think we really need a red top stitch, but we'll check and look and see. I like top stitches around it, around rounded things, because it helps to give it a nice radius. Sometimes when you don't, and I'll show you, when you don't, you turn it inside out, you'll get like a bumpy bump, which this one actually doesn't have it. Honestly, I don't know why I'm just digging a plain butt seam on this seat. We're going plain butt seam. I think it works good. It works. Butt seam, butt seam, butt seam, butt seam. Let's see how it looks. Do something a little different. If it doesn't work, we'll deal with it. So now we have to put our, well, actually now, we can do it afterwards. I'm going to, because I want to, trying to cut down on how many times I switch between thread. So I know I need to do a burgundy top stitch here and a burgundy top stitch here, but I also don't want burgundy thread when we do our butt seams. And I actually did something I don't like to do. I hate to do this. When we do a triple stitch and then it goes into a French seam, I don't know what I wasn't thinking. So we want to make sure that this is lined up right. It actually probably is, no, this actually lines up really good. It might look cool. We'll see. We'll know in a minute. Uno momento, señorita and señor. My extent of Spanish. Okay. So let's just go around here. We'll take a look at it and see. So if we're good, we should only have to change our thread for one shot, hopefully, which is a pain. I want to show you too. I actually did something here, and I'll show you why in a second. I left this piece actually long. And the reason I did that is a lot of times when you go around these corners with so many different materials, you have back materials, unback materials, materials with hitting the stretch from the material in different directions, that sometimes you end up off kilter. And so I ended up just leaving this long so that we could trim it, and I'll show you how and why in a second. So let's just get this done. Our lines line up, which is actually good. One long video, sorry guys. Now we can go through and look at it. I want to see if that back looks all right without a top stitch. The top stitch will break it up a little bit. It's lined up pretty good, so we're good. We're going to do a top stitch on here. So I'm going to switch back to burgundy. Back to Ron Burgundy. And then we just do our top stitches. A lot of lawn mowing going on out there. That's all I hear is lawnmowers. It sucks that it's a nice day and I'm stuck in this joint. Okay, so we'll do this one first. We're going to do the big top stitch first. Make sure our material's pulled tight. Take our time. We want it to look good. We don't want a problem at this point, because any problem at this point is catastrophic. It's just start over. And the last thing we want to do is start over from here. Now we're going over a lot of material here, so I want to go slow. You hear that? The machine's fighting. So I kind of lift it up with my knee, the walking foot, to ease it so it doesn't bind up, because we don't want to have to, like, what has a tendency to do is get stuck, and you have a lot of thread in one spot, and then your top stitch looks like crap. We got kind of a lot of material going on here. I probably shouldn't have backed every piece with the 1/4 inch sew foam. It's just I like the look of this like that. So now I got to go through and do the top stitches here, which I usually do the top stitch actually backwards. On the sides, I do the top stitch up here versus here. So if it does get moisture, it rolls off of it. Not that it's going to get moisture, but better safe than sorry, says all my Canadian friends. Okay, so what we just did there is a wee bit of top stitch. There we go. So now we have a nice top stitch on the side to break that up. We're going to do this one, and then we're going to have to test fit this. Cut the front. Like I said, I left it long. And then once it's cut front, we'll put the front on there. And this one will actually, well, actually we got to do the bottom on this one too. Sorry. There's a lot of steps in this stuff. You get excited, like you're like, oh, I'm on the home stretch. And you're like, oh, shoot. We got to do the entire bottom of these seats still. And then if everything goes well, the seats should go together fairly quickly. These ones usually go together all right, but that's the whole next step. And I was thinking about breaking this video up, but I think we're just going to leave it long. Leave it long. So you have to fast forward to the end to see what the seat looks like, or not. Bada boom! Yeah. Let me go check this front. Actually, I'll bring you with me. We'll go test fit this. All right, so here we are with the back seat. I'm going to put this on temporarily. Take a look at it, see what we need to do. Usually on these we need to make a bottom because if the seat pan goes all the way around, sometimes you could get away with just pulling it, stapling it, and going. But this one here has this whoop-de-doop in here, and I don't know if it'll look good or not. So we're gonna just make a bottom. Okay, so let's line this up, center everything, turn it inside out, right side out, inside out, where it goes. And I'll show you. Gotta move that bottom, drives me crazy. So this goes here, this goes here. And so you can see what I did is I made it long, right? Longa ducka donga. So if you were to look, this piece stops there. So I made this, you know, roughly 3/4 of an inch long. And then what I could do is come in here and mark it, which ironically I didn't make this long, so it just lines up perfect. And on this side, we're going to do the same exactamundo thing. Want this up here where it goes, this here where it goes. And then if all is right, it'll look the same on both sides. And if it doesn't matter. So now I could cut this. It goes right into that one. We'll cut this one right into that one. We did cut through our threads where we lock it off, so we got to be careful. We don't want to pull this and then have an unlocked thread. I did want to check this first to see, and ironically, this actually lines up, meh, not exactly where I wanted it. So let's see. So this actually goes around here pretty stinking good. So this is going to be a tight, I want it tight. You want it tight enough that it's tight, but not too tight where it's pulling and weird. So what I'm going to do is just put these tips to tips and see where it is. That's good. And then I want to just mark where we're going to trim it. We're just going to take a little off this, then we can make our bottom, and afterwards all we'll have to do is just sew our bottom, which is actually just a piece around here. And this one will be ready to roll. So let's do that. I'm going to trim this. A lot of times what I'll do is trim it up to the stitch, right? And I leave that little stitch there so I don't have to unravel it. Now when I sew over it afterwards, I could just cut it and I know it's there, so I could just double back if I have to make it a little bit stronger. And also, one of the reasons why this, even though I made this bigger, and the reason you could see now why I make them bigger, because by making it bigger, adding that sew foam lifted it up so high that it was actually right in the right place pretty much all the way around it. I am going to go through afterwards and trim this before we install it, which will let us bring the seat down a little bit more. If you remember in the beginning of this video, I had talked about how we have the salvage, and sometimes we cut the foam and we tuck it in there. Other times we actually put a listing in there, put it in there, and then pull it all the way down nice and tight. That's for high dollar seats. And you got to really specify when you're doing a seat, you have to let us know if you're looking for a $2,000 seat or if you're looking for a $600 seat. It's a huge difference in the process and what we do. We can give you a seat that looks nice. Some people can't see the difference. Some people have a regular motorcycle that they like. They want it to look great. Other people are building $200,000 plus motorcycles and want it perfect. They want it insane, and they're going to show this and go to shows and events and all that stuff. So you have to clarify when you go to a seat shop what you're doing and what your end game is. All right, so we are getting close, my friends. I sewed up the front cover, didn't trim it yet or anything. I'm going to put it on here, and I want to show you something, show you why sometimes I do what I do, because believe it or not, sometimes there is a reason. Hold on. All right, so I'm going through and I just wanted to adjust the front of the seat. So what I was saying, how everything changes, that's why I like to put the seat on, the cover on where it goes loosely. Obviously, we're just holding up there. You could pin it on there, pull it tight. Kind of shows you where you need to have your top piece, because this moves a lot based off the thickness of the sew foam you put in there. So I marked where I have to trim, and then I'm going to put the new piece on here. And now I just have to go around here and try to mark where we want the seat. You can see here, I marked down here where it's going to have to be cut because I left this long. So that's there, and that's the center. Marked all here. So now I'm going to sew the front on. And then what's cool about this seat, because the pan goes all the way around, I don't need to make a form-fitted bottom. I'm just going to actually run a band around this that we could staple to. And then we should be good to go to start installing this and see what it looks like. And I am excited to do that. It's very important to line up these backrests. They're very easy to have them crooked. Crooked sewing it, crooked installing it, and then crooked putting it on the actual sissy bar. Okay. Now let's get the seat done next. Okay, so now I'm just putting this together, kind of a temporary. I just want to make sure everything lines up before we pull everything tight. I tentatively pulled the back and tightened it, put some of the clips back on so we can see. And then we'll see. I think that looks like it needs to go that way a little bit. This that way, right? So let's see if there's an adjustment here. Okay, a little bit of an adjustment here. There. And then let's see if that did anything. It did. It did. Okay. So I guess we could actually button up the front now. Button up the front. So I was not able to spend a lot of time putting the seat cover together and showing you that. I apologize because this was a long video and I'm actually out of time and I need the seat done. Everybody's chomping at the bits and they want their stuff. It's warming up outside. I got to go through and clean this up. With the Space Pens, FYI, regular dish soap is the best trick I found for taking it off. And obviously chalk comes off with water, and grease pencils come off with mineral spirits, and glue comes off with mineral spirits or glue cleaner. But I do like with the Space Pen using the dish soap, because what ends up happening is it doesn't leave the seat shiny and gross. The downfall is if you put too much on and the seat gets really wet, it's going to be sudsy. It'll actually foam up and look like you're washing your hands on it. But luckily for me, this is coming right off. And we got to do the backrest. I see a little thread. We just want to go through and inspect it, make sure there's no threads on here, any of that stuff. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was really long. I appreciate any of you who watched the entire thing. And like I said before, if you made it to the end of this video and you watched the whole thing, leave a comment, let us know. And what we'll do is we're going to try to do a thing where we could do a giveaway, and maybe the people who actually watch the full video, we'll see if we can send you out some sort of gift or something like that. And then I will. So we got here, nice little seat. And I think I call this a Softail seat, but this has to be a Dyna. It looks like a Dyna seat. I wasn't paying attention to it. Ooh, bubbles. So thank you for watching. Please remember, like, share, subscribe, follow, ring the bell, all that stuff. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy lives to watch us make a seat.